The evergreen cedar tree is one of the most useful trees you'll ever find in a conifer forest. In this little series here, I'm going to show you some of the cool things you can do with cedar trees and their bark. So first we're going to work on identifying a cedar tree. For those who don't know, cedar is a conifer, it's an evergreen, which means it is green all year. It never loses its leaves. It'll shed dead needles throughout the year, but it never drops its leaves like, say, an oak or a maple. You can see, these are the needles on a cedar tree. Come on, camera. Focus. Focus. There we go. These are the needles on a cedar tree. They're different from those on, say, a fir tree or a pine tree. This is a fir. I can't find a pine tree around here. But the needles are different. They're flat, for one, instead of round. And the bark is very different. You can see, this bark is very flaky. It just flakes off on the outside. Compared to, again, a fir tree, which doesn't do that. So now that you know how to identify cedar, we'll talk about how to get the bark for the cordage. The best place to find bark is on a downed cedar sapling. One usually about 8 inches across. So this one here I found, it fell down across this trail, and then someone came through with a saw and moved it out of the way. But it's been dead a while. It's what you want. And it's about the perfect size. You can see the bark is already trying to come off all on its own because it's drying out. So that makes your job of collecting the bark a lot easier. So to collect the bark, all you have to do is grab on and pull out. And it'll go a ways up the tree, depending on how dry it is. If you don't want that much, you can always get your knife and cut it. So I'm going to cut it right about here, about a foot in. And there we go. You can see I cut it off. And this over here just kind of came out of the middle. But you can see it's already trying to spin itself up into a string. So that means this tree is good for what you want it. So the best way to separate the inner bark from the outer bark is with a knife. If you've got one that has like the butt exposed and a sharp side on that, like a 90-degree angle on the butt of the knife, you can just scrape with that. If not, you just use a regular knife. Just knife I had on today. I'm going to take it and just kind of scrape down the middle. You can see the fiber is already coming off. And if you're going after the fibers, that's what you want, just do that. Or if you want to separate them in two pieces like this, it won't always work if it's like too wet, for example, or too thin. But if it's going to work, you can just break it like that, and usually just peel the outer bark off. This section here was a little bit too thin, so it didn't work. But if you have a thicker piece, it might work. Thanks for watching Bobcat in the Woods. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I hope you might enjoy some of these others that I've left on the screen. There's a playlist on the left and a video on the right that's related to this one. And if you enjoyed the channel, feel free to subscribe. There's a link to that in the center of the screen.